Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today? Haven't done a video for quite a while, so got a few minutes tonight. I thought I would do a quick video on something I've been meaning to do for a long time. And it's on the particular plant Glossostigma, or Glosso as most people call it. It's probably one of the more all-time famous, I guess, foreground plants in the hobby. And I often get a few requests quite regularly on how do I plant this plant. So I thought I would do a little video on that today to show you how to do that. Glossostigma for the most part comes in a pot like this. Your typical plastic pot with rock wool. Now, I think a lot of people, and I probably did this too when I started out, a lot of people would just sort of take the pot and just sort of plump it down into their aquarium and think, okay, that's all I need to do. This is really not giving yourself a good chance with this plant. And the reason why is this plant spreads by producing runners. So there'll be a plant here, it'll shoot a runner out, another plant will pop up, and so on and so forth. If you just plop this into your aquarium like this, basically the only plants that sort of have any sort of a chance of reproducing are the ones right on the outside periphery of the pot. The other ones are going to go straight up. So you're going to have a big bunch of plants growing up and maybe a few growing out like this. If you don't care if that's sort of the look you're going for, that's fine. But if you're wanting to get a carpeting look for this plant, you really need to put some thought and a bit of time into it to do it properly. So that's what we're going to try and show you today. So the first thing you want to do is let me just make sure this is in focus here. Okay. First thing you want to do is make sure you take this out of the pot. Take the rock wool out of the pot. These don't really serve much of a purpose. And then you want to take apart the plants from the rock wool. In this case it's not too bad. And you can get out there. This is one of those plants where a little bit can go a long way if you plant it properly. Okay, so that's that. Just gotta get the camera in focus. Okay, so what you want to do, basically here, I'm trying to show you what actually one plant looks like. Okay, so here's an example of one of what I would call a plant. Usually, these are really small. The leaves on these ones are really small for whatever reason. It's been sitting in my tank, not properly planted for quite a while. So this particular specimen isn't in the greatest of shapes. But as you can see here, your main plant grows up here, and then it's going to spread a runner out this way here. Okay. So you want to try and separate them into as many plantlets as you can. So we're just going to pause it there while I do that. Okay, so I separated all that out. It actually took me about 30 seconds. It was pretty simple. And there's maybe about 25, 30 individual plants just from that one pot. Like I say, this wasn't the greatest of specimens. I've had pots that have twice as many as that. But I think the point is that when you actually take one of these pots apart, there's a ton of plants in there. So I often get questions from people. Okay, I've got a 4-foot tank and I want to do a foreground with Glosso. How many pots do I need? Well, you know what? It really depends. One pot, will do it no problem. It just, maybe it takes a little bit longer to spread out or whatever. If you have more time and you don't mind spending a bit more money, yeah, you can buy 5 pots and it'll be, you know, almost instantaneous. So it really depends on your own sort of preference in that regard. But yes, you don't need a lot of any foreground plant actually to get yourself going. It just depends on how patient you are with the plants. So the next step, I'm going to show you how to plant these in the substrate. Okay, the last step is actually planting them in the aquarium. This is where it can take a lot of time depending on how many plantlets you have to plant. What you do need is you need a good pair of tweezers to do this properly. You can't just use your fingers, it just won't work. What we're using today, just to give our product a bit of a plug here, is we're using these 20-inch or 20-centimeter curved tweezers that we've got on our site. I think they're $12.99 or something. And we've got a few different sizes. I've got 14 and 20-inch ones. But these are very useful. They've got the working end that goes parallel to the ground, which is easy to work with. So here we go. We grab them just at the bottom of the stem here. You can see that. You can see the roots there. And we've just simply got to shove the roots down into the substrate and then gently release the tweezers and bring your tweezers back up. So let's do that again. Here's another one. So you just want to shove it into the substrate just until the leaves are at the surface. You just want to bury everything except the very top leaves there. Okay, here's a bigger one. These leaves are really small. I wish they were a little bit bigger. Okay, and there. Oops, this one just came. This is why you got to have a little bit of patience when doing this, and I just kind of set this up on the fly. So I'll do a few more, and we get that right in there. And maybe just, if it's not too stable, you just shove a few. Okay, now let's do another one over here. The distance between where you're going to plant them depends on how much you have, and generally the area that you want to fill in. So if I want to fill in just this area, I'm going to space them, you know, equidistant depending on how many plants I have in that particular area. Okay, I'll finish off the rest of these and we can sort of see what it looks like. Okay, so we finished planting that. It actually didn't take too long. As I mentioned, those pots weren't in the greatest of shape. There weren't as many plants on them as there normally would be. But as you can see, you know, we got decent coverage just in that one pot from there. If that bloody apple snail would get out of the way, I could show you more. But anyways, so that's yeah, that's how you do it. Now, of course, with this plant, it's I should have mentioned this at the beginning. It does need a good substrate in order to really sort of carpet and do well. Because it does send out runners, and those runners are they want to get into the substrate for nutrients. So if you've got a substrate of, you know, play sand or just plain gravel or pool filter sand or whatever, there's going to be nothing there for the roots. There's no nutrients in those sort of substrates. So you do need a sort of either a nutrient-based substrate like an ADA aquasoil or a fluval stratum or any of those other sort of soil-based substrates, or a substrate like EcoComplete or Secum Fluorite, which isn't necessarily a nutrient-based substrate, but it's high in CEC values, which means it it's able to retain nutrients there. So it effectively becomes a nutrient-based substrate after a while. And I've grown this in fluorite very successfully. I've never seen it grown very well on anything other than fluorite or aquasoil or one of those major substrates. So keep that in mind. Needs good light. CO2 obviously helps too. It's not as demanding as dwarf baby tears, but it's still a fairly demanding plant. But even with that little that I put in there, under good conditions, that's going to spread out and fill in that entire area within probably 3 weeks, I would think. So anyways, hope this video was helpful in terms of helping you make a decision about this plant or not. If not, shoot me a line and I'll be glad to help you.